Right, Rach, we have got the awards ceremony to end all awards ceremonies here today. We're going to be voting for our picks in the following categories: Team of the Season, Manager of the Season, Player of the Season, Young Player, under 23s, of the Season, Quote of the Season, Signing of the Season, What the Fuck Moment of the Season, Favourite Upfront Guest of the Season, and the moment I will always associate with this season is... It's going to be a juicy episode, so sit down, pour yourself something, pour yourself a nice glass of champagne or a cup of tea or, you know, whatever you fancy, and settle in for a fireside Upfront Awards ceremony like no other. So, Rach, let's get stuck in, okay? Let's go. Team of the Season, the biggie, the headline award. Who have you gone for?
Okay, this was difficult. It was difficult because I think Man City have had a great season, but I'm going to give it to Chelsea, and that sounds super boring, not just because they won, but because of everything else they've contended with, the injuries, the fact they went deep into every competition, pretty much. They were playing a game every 3 days, practically. The fact they had to deal with the whole Emma Hayes news for the whole bloody season. The fact that we thought, as the trophies fell like dominoes, that the league was going to go, and that they managed to claw their way back in and win the title. So I'm going to give it to Chelsea. Sorry.
That's so disappointing, mate. So mainstream of you.
I'll make it more interesting further down.
You've gone with the WSL title winners. I mean, gosh. Right.
Here's yours. Come on.
Can I have a drum roll? It's Arsenal!
What?
Hear me out. Despite obviously not winning the title and me saying that they would do that, I think if you look at some of their off-field work, for me, I think what they've done for the women's game this year has been absolutely killer. Back-to-back sellout crowds, and not just with the top four, but also bringing in teams like Spurs at the Emirates, paved the way with all of the activations, have now just announced Emirates being their main stadium. Their kit designs are brought across collaborations across football and fashion and music. They have made women's football a fun and safe, incredibly enjoyable space. And now they've just announced that they're taking the entire team to Australia on a
They don't get praise for that.
A post-season. Who else is doing that? Who else is funding their team?
Just to clarify, Arsenal's marketing team is your team of the season.
No, I think what they've created for the women's game, the community, the safety, the fun, the brilliance, the main stadium, the fusion of collaborations and cultures, I think what they've done for the women's game this season is unparalleled. So
Arsenal marketing team, right.
That's what I'm going for. So just to recap, team of the season this year, Rach, you've gone for Chelsea. I've gone for Arsenal. I appreciate that's going to be controversial. But tell us your thoughts. If you think we're wrong, absolutely come at us. Definitely let us know in the comments. But we don't have time to spare. So moving swiftly on to our next award. Manager of the Season. Rachel, let me know.
I'm going a little bit rogue. I'm going to give it to Matt Beard. I think he's been excellent. I think, as we touched on in previous episodes, that this is their second time back up into the WSL. They did well last season. They've done even better this season. They're taking scalps. They're taking names. They're, finishing the season consistently. They've dealt with injuries to key players. Those players have come back and been key. I think Matt Beard is an excellent, excellent manager. I think they play some really good football. He's got a team that's really bought into it. And that's why I'm going to give it to him.
Do you know what? I agree with that one. Better from
Yay!
you. Better from you. On the up. I'm going to give it to Robert. It has to go to Robert. I mean, his season with Spurs, yes, it's been a little bit up and down. Yes, I think there are points that he definitely could have done better. But when you look at the season as an overall, when you've taken your team to an FA Cup final, when you've backed them every step of the way, when you've brought this calmness, you've brought this confidence, you've inspired younger players, you've got players like Jess Naz playing some of the best football of her career so far. You've got Grace Clinton, who obviously came over from Manchester United on loan, wasn't getting that much game time time. He gave her opportunities, and she has excelled herself, not only at club level, but also at international level. He's had to nurture the kind of young talent and also look after, the more experienced players, your Becky Spencers, your Martha Thomases, your Beth England, and collaborated that team together. There's now an excitement around Spurs. And I think, as we mentioned before, they've kind of gone for this very defensively minded team into thinking, actually, we can attack. And actually, Christ, we're pretty good in attack as well. And we can catch teams off guard. So for me, that's all down to Robert's leadership. So congratulations, Robert. Despite us obviously nominating these people, the manager of the season for this year has not yet been announced by Barclays. The nominees so far are Emma Hayes, Matt Beard and Gareth Taylor. But just to clarify, from our point of view, we think it's going to be Matt Beard, Liverpool. That was yours, Rach, and mine is Robert. I just love it. Just Bobby for me.
Bobby Ball.
Right, player of the season. Rach, who have you gone for? There's so many to choose from this year.
There is, and I'm going to be boring, but I'm going to go with Bunny Shaw. I think she's been relentless. I think it's a successive season where she scored more than 20 goals, which is incredible. She's won the Golden Boot, even though she broke her foot with 3 or 4 games to go. She came from Bordeaux, where she scored 32 goals in 35 games. The consistency of her goal scoring is excellent. I think the relationship she's developed with the players and up front with her there at Manchester City has been brilliant. She scores with her left foot, with her right foot, with her head. She can score poacher goals. She can score from out far, outside the box. She drops deep. Her hold-up play is excellent. She's an all-round superstar. So, player of the season for me.
Do you think there's any weaknesses that Bunny Shaw has?
The broken foot at the moment. That's about it.
Are there any particular games or any particular moments or goals that have stood out for you this season with her?
I think when she scored at the Etihad, I think that was when she broke the record. Because she's most number of goals scored at Manchester City, and she scored the most number of goals, men or women, for Jamaica as well, I think. So that one may be where she, because for players, they always say they don't look at records, but I think that was when she either equalled it or broke it at the Etihad. That's special, right?
Absolutely. To be honest, mate, I completely back that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great choice. That's a really great choice. Right, for me, it's probably no surprise that I've gone goalkeeper related, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
For me, it's got to be Kiara Keating. I mean, you forget sometimes that this girl is only 19 years old. It's her first full season in the WSL. She has outdone some of the most experienced international keepers on the stage, like Mary Earps, no chance. I mean, Mackenzie Arnold, no chance. I mean, you've got Zinsberger, no chance. She has excelled way above keepers who have got 10 years more experience at WSL and international level than her. She has obviously the most clean sheets in the league this year, picking up the WSL Golden Glove in her first ever season, breaking it into the England squad, getting herself so noticed that Serena has given her the opportunity to enter the squad and stay with the squad and be a part of that. And I'm super excited for her to get her debut at some point. I mean, and also on top of that, a great personality. I mean, I interviewed her back in November when she'd just got her call up into the England squad, and she was kind of saying I was like, oh, how did you celebrate? How did it, how did it feel? What did you have a big night out and stuff? And she was kind of saying yeah, I just went to the Chinese with my mum. And I was like, I mean, I've never, one of the things that you will have picked up on this entire season, that accents is not my forte.
No, it's not.
That was a Mancunian accent.
Was it?
Did it actually?
Yeah. Did a bit.
Anything north of the M25 sort of fits in the same thing. But yeah, I think for me, she has been absolutely phenomenal this year.
Do you know what I rate as well is that she's made some kind of 1 or 2 big errors, which for many a goalkeeper would throw you off. And for such a young goalkeeper to make those mistakes, and credit to Manchester City as well, to put her back in there and tell her, we want you to keep doing that she got back in there and had some unbelievable games, in big games as well. She really steps up in big games. So I absolutely rate that decision.
I think it's the consistency and it's the bouncing back, it's that resilience that she's got from such a young age. And even when I was speaking to her back in November, and she was sort of talking about some of the techniques that her and her coach were using, saying they play big game crowd and booze noises as she steps out onto the training ground to kind of get her used to those kind of environments. And when you see the Arsenal, that game against Arsenal where the ball bounced over her and it was one of those obvious errors and you just think, Christ, that was just a technical fuck up. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. But to come back from that game and then have the season that you've got, I mean, unreal from her. I just have so much respect for someone who has that calm head and that much talent, like, at that age. I just think, like, in 10 years' time, like, in 15 years' time, you will be undoubtedly, I think, one of the best goalkeepers that the WSL has ever seen, and I am here for it. So just to sum up, our player of the season, Bunny Shaw for you, Rach, and for me, Kiara Keating. Congratulations, guys. Absolutely phenomenal seasons.
I love that. Congratulations. You get absolutely nothing from us, but well done.
Right, turning now to the young player of the season. Rach, who have you gone for?
I wonder if we'll have the same player, because I'm going to go for Grace Clinton. Yeah. I think, you know, she came into Tottenham. I love the fact that Robert Villaham gave her so much of a chance, really kind of made her a key part of that team. She absolutely has excelled. She's so confident. She's so mature in the way she plays. And the fact that she got her England senior call-up off the back of that performance and got to start and was really good in her first game has been really impressive. I love the fact that there's this fight now between Spurs and Manchester United. They both want her. Mark Skinner wants the praise for identifying her talents. But I actually think the way Robert Villaham has used her in that squad has been brilliant. And he's put a lot of trust in her. And I think that's really benefited her then when she stepped into the senior squad, because she's used to having that trust. So, I don't know, Chloe, are we on the same wavelength with this one?
We're actually not. Oh. I actually anticipated that you'd go.
I know who you're going to go with.
Absolutely. I thought you might say Grace Clinton, and obviously Grace Clinton was at the forefront of my mind when we were talking about young players, because 100% everything you say, absolutely back. Like, she's been so powerful for the squad, just in terms of, like, her energy. And I think there was a really interesting interview that Roz Ayan did, I think, at the start of the season, when she was saying when they heard that Grace Clinton was joining the Spurs squad, they were like, well, who is she? Like, we don't really, you know, what's, you know, who is she? We don't. Yep, cool. Like, she's joining. Yeah, no real
like
fear. Like,
Nikki
not going to present that
Brother.
much of a threat.
Who is she?
Yeah, literally that. And then you literally you go eight months into the season, 10 months into the season, and all of a sudden she is the name that everybody is talking about. Like, she is one of the most exciting prospects at club and country, and there is this, like, massive battle between, like, who's going to take her. So yeah, 100%. But for me, I think it's got to be Bizet. Like,
I did not see that coming. I thought you were going to go Jess Naz.
No. Like, I think that was always a close call, absolutely, because I think Jess has been one of those players that I've seen literally go from ACL to glory in a matter of years, and, like, the confidence that she has, bringing the ball forwards, taking players on. Like, she was so feisty in the FA Cup final, like, absolutely all day. But I think, like, Bizet for me, 22 years old.
Underrated.
Like, and I think you forget how young she is sometimes. And I know she's had a bit of, like, injury plagues, and I know she's not sort of been, like, starting every single game this season. But I think there's something so talented and so she reminds me of kind of like Guro Reiten before Guro Reiten got big, and everyone was like, oh, like, yeah, this is player, like, she's, like, causing a bit of damage, like, she's creating these, like, really feisty opportunities, like, she's getting into goal scoring opportunities, like, she's setting up the ball in these phenomenal ways. And, like, there have been games that the only person I can focus on in the Spurs squad is Bizet. So I just feel like she should 100% get a bit more of a shout out, because I think, like, once she gets back to full form and, like, she's not struggling with the injury situation, I think she's I think she's going to do the absolute bits in the WSL. Yeah.
Do you know what? Early on in the season, I was so impressed with her, and I remember thinking, if she continues on like this for the rest of the season, she's going to be in my team of the season. Okay. I think she's just been unlucky with injuries, right? So we haven't seen as much of her as we would have liked. But the relationships that she developed with Martha Thomas, with Beth England, they just look like they've been playing with each other for years. And she was a key part of that unbelievable counter-attacking goal that they scored against Arsenal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So she is a very, very exciting prospect.
Absolutely. So yeah, we're kind of, I think, and that just goes to show how exciting Spurs are this year, and, like, the fact that we're sitting here talking about, it could have been Jess Naz, like, yeah, Bizet's there, like, Martha Thomas has had, like, Grace spells,
Clinton,
like Grace Clinton, and you think, like, that's how exciting Spurs has now become. We weren't talking about Spurs in this kind of frame, like, a couple seasons ago, even last year. So yeah, absolutely credit. So yeah, from Rach, it is Grace Clinton. For me, it is Celine Bizet. So congratulations, guys, on picking up your Young Player of the Season fictional awards from Upfront.
Audio award.
They are in the imaginary post. Right, Rach, quote of the season. Go on.
Might we have the same one? I don't know. We might have the same one.
I don't think we will. I genuinely don't think we will.
Okay, my quote of the season is "It's not fucking over" from Emma Hayes, where she basically conceded the lead the previous week, and then suddenly she was at Kings Meadow at their final home game, being like, "It's not fucking over,"
and she holds on to her very young son.
Yeah. So that one for me, because it was just like it did the rounds and it was great.
Well, what did you think in that moment when she said that? Because I was like,
they're gonna win.
I mean, it's not fucking over, but you said it was last week. I've got whiplash from like how differently the situations have turned round. I mean, was that the point that you were like, no, they've got it all day, it's theirs, done?
I did think they had it anyway, but when she said that, I was like, oh Jesus, I would not want to be Manchester United right now.
On fire.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Well, I would like to play my quote of the season because it came very early in the season, and I think it's one of those ones that you kind of forget that it even happened. And I don't know whether it's that iconic or not, but I just absolutely fucking love the honesty of it. Here it is. I'm hoping you can hear this.
I know what it is.
See if I can. Do you actually know?
I know what it is. I was going to do it for you. I mean, I'm so fucking tired.
I'm so fucking tired. I just think... So this basically, to add some context to this quote, because it was so long ago, and obviously like the BBC were in bits about it because they had to apologise live on air when this thing came out. It was the 1st of October 2023, so like literally like the first game of the season. It was against Aston Villa. Man United had just picked up the points, then secured 2-1. But it was like this really heated match. Like Rachel Daly scored in the 76th minute, and then Lucia Garcia scored in the 79th minute, and then Rachel Williams secured the winner in the 92nd minute. That game had, I think, about 10 minutes additional stoppage time, but it was like end to end and absolutely ferocious. I think it was about 20 shots, 25 shots or something that Man United tried to score. So I think it was just like one of those iconic moments that someone was just so honest and had absolutely no understanding of how the BBC would have to like deal with the fallout from what she'd said.
But also, it just showed you how tired players were at the beginning of the season, for fuck's sake.
That should have been like the warning. Like we keep talking about the scheduling and stuff, but like literally for someone to say first game, like it's too much already. Like I need a break.
I'm knackered, lads.
It was just so open and honest. So yeah, just to recap, quote of the season from Rach is Emma Hayes saying it's not fucking over, and for me it is I am so fucking tired. Well, it's pretty much the sentiment of everyone at the end of the season. All right, Rach, moving swiftly on to signing of the season. Who have you gone for?
This was tough because I think the signings across the board have been brilliant. Katrina Gorey's been great. Mamiki Takarada for Leicester. Hobinger at Liverpool. Emily Fox has come in and been unreal. I've been really impressed with Ashley Lawrence. Like there's been players across the season, across the league that have really impressed me and stepped up. Ramirez, for God's sake, coming in and hitting the ground running. But for me, I'm going to give it to Shoska Nuskin because she was a little bit like, I think people didn't know what to expect from her maybe when Chelsea signed her. Emma Hayes obviously was like, told you so, basically. But the fact that she's come in, she scored goals, she was playing really well in midfield, and then suddenly, when injuries hit, she was bloody everywhere. She was in defence at one point. And I think she's actually been really key to Chelsea's success, to have a player of her versatility in the difficult moments, to be able to step in and you know, shine in a number of different positions. She's been a real workhorse for them. So she's probably been the biggest surprise and I've been the most impressed with. What about you? Do you rate that? Good.
Oh, 100%, absolutely, like totally agree with that. And I think like you said, I think she is a little bit underrated. I think when you've got a Chelsea squad that's like full of like these massive names that everyone keeps talking about, I think she sometimes flies under the radar, but it's her work rate off the ball that I think like those are because obviously like when you look at some of the camera work and the FA player and things like that, like you can't actually get a sense of like what's happening off the pitch. So unless you're at those games seeing her doing doggies up and down the pitch, like the stats on her must be absolutely incredible. But yeah, I 100% back that choice, mate. Great choice.
Thank you.
For me, talking of the big stars of the Chelsea squad, it has got to be Myra Ramirez. I mean, She was such a kind of an unknown quantity stepping into the WSL, and it's really hard to like imagine the WSL and Chelsea without her. She's only been with the club like 5 months, and everyone was like, whoa, like where has she come from? Obviously, like the first like people had really kind of, you know, come across her was with the Colombia national team in the World Cup, and like she was a bit spicy then, but there was also like a load of other kind of players in the Colombian squad who were kind of getting more attention than she was. So it kind of seemed a little bit like Caicedo, and you kind of felt like, okay, well actually like, oh well, you know, we weren't expecting that, and like for such a record-breaking fee, like over £400,000, like, you know, Emma must have seen something in her, and then all of a sudden like she steps onto the pitch and like the impact that she's had, and obviously this is Chelsea squad that's missing Sam Kerr. There were so many concerns over like how that would impact them and their season and their firepower, but she is so physical, she is so present, she is so dominating, she is so like fear-provoking up top, and like you know that when she gets the ball she's going to drive it forward, she's going to progress, she's going to get in the box. And like one thing that I love about Ramirez, especially for the first few months at least, I think she's probably got her game management head a little bit more screwed on now, but like she was not a player who kind of went down, who sort of like tried to seek the penalties, who tried to get those kind of fouls and things. She was a player who literally just fought to the death for the ball. But now you kind of see the game management creeping in and her kind of like going down. But you know how effective a player is when you've got players that are literally tasked, like defensive players who are literally tasked with just woman marking her the entire game. And like, you know, like someone like Maya Letizier, like when they've kind of clashed together, like Maya Letizier has had to literally kind of like almost like take her down time and time again, and kind of like risk getting yellow cards and risk getting sent off just to stop the presence that is Mara Ramirez. Like
it's why she started going down. Because she's not getting the calls, so she started going down, and I guess to protect herself.
100%, and getting calls that like fairly enough like should be given to her, because like some of the fouls that she's sustained and not gone down and not been given like aren't great. So yeah, I'm just really excited to see how like she progresses in the Chelsea squad, because like for me, I just think she's been such an exciting addition and in such a short space of time. So yeah, congratulations to Newskin from Chelsea and also Ramirez from Chelsea on being signings of the season. Right, Rach, moving swiftly on to our most prestigious award, the What the Fuck Moment of the Season award. Okay, what is your choice?
There's a few that we could choose from. Okay. There is, of course, Sockgate at Stamford Bridge, which is a real what the fuck moment. Yeah. But the one that's really given me the most what the fucks, that I'm still struggling to get my head around, is Arsenal letting Viviane Miedema go on a free.
Nice. Yep.
Our listeners know how I feel about it, but that one, that's just been the most consistent. I'm still what the fucking.
Do you want to summarise it? Like, just give the listeners a couple of sentences on how you really feel about it?
She's a goat. She's generational. She's coming back from an ACL. She's still only 27. She's still a record holder, even though she's been out for over a year with injury. You've let her go. You've let her go on a free, and she's potentially going to go to a rival. Just, what the fuck?
Yeah, what were you doing? Honestly, what were you doing? Arsenal, you've got so many things right this year, but that was not one of them. And I'd like to honestly have a big sit down and a big chat with the person who made that decision, Jonas.
Right, what's yours?
My what the fuck moment has still got to be Liverpool beating Chelsea like a mere couple of weeks ago. Like the group chat between us all it popped the fuck off, because like that game, I think, became such a... Do you know what? I thought that game was going to be more pivotal than it actually turned out to be. At that point, I thought that was Chelsea in crisis, their title hopes in shatters, but it was like the end-to-end nature of that game. And like...
The manner of it was unreal.
You've always credited Matt Beard for like how impressive Liverpool have been this season, but that was like a real shining diamond in their crown of the season, because like that was like where I thought like their biggest impact had been. And obviously it didn't turn out to be as effective as we all thought it would be, but it was just like the nature of like Liverpool, like never say die attitude. They were like, right, Chelsea have come back a goal, we've got to get a goal. Chelsea have come back a goal, we've got to get a goal. And then like the 92nd minute header, and it was just like the explosion. It was like Liverpool had won the title themselves, and like how much it meant to them and how much it meant to the fans, and like how devastated like Emma Hayes was and how exciting it made the back end of the season. Like that game for me it escalated the product of the WSL, because it just made it so much spicier and so much more dramatic. So that was my what the fuck moment, because it was like, oh, they've scored. oh shit, they've scored. Oh shit, they've scored. Oh fuck, they've scored. Oh my fucking god, they've scored. It was like that just across the group chat. It was like, I was getting dizzy.
We're going to be getting messages about all these expletives.
Literally that. So yeah, no doubt Phil will probably share some of the images from our group chat on this, but my god, yeah, that was definitely one of my what the fuck is happening moments of the season. Rach, who has been your best and favourite upfront guest? And this is a toughie because we've had a phenomenal and beautiful array of guests this season.
It is tough because I think the array of guests has been great. We've had players, we've had managers, we've had people working in the business side of things, and we've had referees. I really enjoyed the one with Georgia Ball. Queenie Porter was brilliant. Chatting to Demi, like, loved it. We had Pat Chapman, like, there was so many great people to talk to. I think the one that had the most impact on me was probably the Khalida Popal one. Okay. And her fight for recognition of the Afghanistan women's national team. I think listening to her story and her journey, and it just reminded me of the power of football. And sometimes we can get so wrapped up in what we're doing, we kind of, sometimes you just see it as a game, right? But actually the power of sport is so much more than maybe we realise sometimes. And I think she really brought that home for me. And she was so honest and so open. Yeah, I think that will stand out, I think, for me.
That's a beautiful one, mate. Love that. And like, I've got to echo like your thoughts. Like the guests that we've had on this year have been absolutely like just world class. And like some of the conversations, like you start some of these interviews and you think, oh, this is where we're going to take it. This is where the conversation is going to go. And then all of a sudden they've opened up like about like their experiences and like what they've been through and like where the game is and their perceptions on things. And it's been beautiful to have some of those conversations. Like you feel privileged to have like been in the same room and those people to have like shared their thoughts and time with you. So, but I think for me, like one of the most emotive like ones that we've had has come quite recently. It's got to be like with my former teammate, a former captain, Crystal Palace former captain Annabelle Johnson, AJ, and like obviously like we'd had her on earlier on in the season and she'd spoken to us about like her journey and like through Palace and where it was going, and at that point like they were still sort of in contention for the getting up into the WSL, and she was saying how competitive it was, but she also opened up personally to us about her journey with coaching and kind of like where she saw her kind of like post-playing career going and like her difficulties like trying to get into, the higher levels of coaching badges. And she literally, and then to go from that, and then like a few months later, like we had her on the pod like a couple of weeks back, and you've got to listen to this podcast because like honestly, like obviously then knowing that Crystal Palace had been promoted and like what the girls had been through and how they were taking things week by week and like the impact of Laura Kaminsky, the manager, and then AJ opened up to us and said, like she's been like basically, so from that episode, PFA had basically said like we're going to help you on that UEFA B license coaching, and like she said like had it not been for you guys like that that probably or might not have ever happened, or I still be chasing things now. And I just think like I just found that was such a beautiful moment like to have shared with us, and like I was so grateful that we were able to kind of make an impact in that way, because like sometimes like it's just me and you, like we just have so much fun like talking about football, like dissecting the things that happen week on week, and sometimes like you do forget like when you're having conversations about human rights and like these big issues, like these big topics, and like people's challenges and what they're going through, like you do it does take you back down to the kind of
that was pretty special.
So yeah, that was a really heartfelt one, and we walked away from that episode feeling quite just like really taken back and emotional. So that was my favorite upfront guest, AJ.
Love that.
All right, the last one, Rach, the very last one. I know it's sad, it's almost come to an end, it feels quite heartfelt, it feels like there's a lot of emotions swirling around at the moment, but I've got to press you, mate, the moment that you will always associate this season with, what we saying?
Again, there's a few, and again, I refer to Sockgate. I feel like that was just such a funny moment in the season. But for me, the whole season hinged on that Stina Blackstenius 3 minutes against Manchester City where she scored 2 goals. Like, 88th minute, I'm like, okay, actually, I might be wrong. Maybe Chelsea aren't going to win it. Maybe Manchester City are going to win it. Maybe I got this wrong. And in 3 minutes, the whole entire outlook of the season and the league shifted in 3 minutes, and I find that wild. Like, Stina loves scoring against Manchester City for whatever reason, big fan of that, she is, but like it just, everything shifted, the whole momentum, the door was suddenly wide open for Chelsea. And it summed up how close this league came, how close we were. And that for me is like the moment where everything just turned on its axis.
Yeah, 100%. That was absolutely pivotal. It was such a game changer moment for the season and the title. I mean, I've kind of copied you on this one, but not with Stina, but with the previous answer. Yeah, so my moment of the season, or the kind of moments, it's the two combined moments of Emma Hayes literally saying, we're out of the title race, a few days later saying, we're never fucking done. And I just think it was almost like, it was like Terminator, like, I'll be back type vibes. And I just thought, like, that's going to sum up, like, Emma Hayes' reign. We're never fucking done. Like, we're never fucking out of it. Even if we're, like, 50 points behind and, like, our goal difference is 100, like, Chelsea will still find a way to, like, get it and see it out. And I think, despite me obviously wanting Man City to pick up the title, the fact that Emma Hayes has got that last, fifth WSL title and she's able to leave on that high, I think, like, it's important.
It's a real, like, to reference another movie, a real Liam Neeson kind of, I will find you and I will bring you WSL trophy.
It was that, like, and honestly, like, yeah, I just think that just sums up, like, this entire season for Chelsea, and, like, how we've all been feeling that Chelsea will just undeniably get the job done despite all the odds, despite backs against the wall, despite the goal difference, despite all the injuries, the manager turbulence. Like, they'll just do it. So
all the other potential trophies fallen by the wayside.
Yeah, it was that. So yeah, I think great moments there, like Emma Hayes' Terminator moment, and Rage for you, obviously, like Stina Blackson is like literally changing the game. And also, did you see that?
Did you hear Sam Kerr
nod to Sam Kerr? Like saying, thank you, Stina. Cheeky from her, very cheeky. Despite we've not seen her for about 3 months, and she pops up and does something like that, is great.
Love it.